Well, law and order isn't usually a centrepiece of federal election campaigning, but today both sides spruiked their tough-on-crime credentials. Julia Gillard and Tony Abbott made tit-for-tat announcements about how they plan to crack down on crime, especially when it involves knives. The Prime Minister's extended the tough talk to her own party. She's threatened to sack any minister who breaches the confidentiality of the cabinet room. Dana Robertson reports.
This is not my sport, fellas. Help.
It's the perennial campaign question.
How do I get the spin?
At Essendon Football Club, Tony Abbott had his eye on the ultimate prize. But during election season, leaders can't always play their natural game. And across town, the Prime Minister was having her own awkward moment.
I wondered, Prime Minister, if you thought it might prove wise that you knifed the Queenslander.
I wouldn't use that expression. There we are. Thank you. G'day, Mark.
Knife crime was the focus of both sides' campaign day.
Oh, I do like Danishes.
Julia Gillard says if she's re-elected, she'll crack down on the importation of knives, knuckle dusters and electric shock devices.
Knife crime worries people. It worries people understandably. There's no excuse in the world for wandering around with a knife in your pocket for no proper purpose, carrying a flick knife.
It's usually the preserve of the states. But after this front page, the opposition leader couldn't resist the law and order siren song.
We have towards 300 homicides a year in Australia, and almost 50% of these homicides involve knife crime.
Mr Abbott pledged $180 million to implement a national violent gang database and fund 200 extra police for the Australian Crime Commission.
The rise of these violent gangs on a national basis means that there is more work for the Commonwealth to do.
But the political knives are far from being returned to their sheaths. The Prime Minister's ready to cut loose members of her own team if there are any post-election cabinet leaks.
If there is anybody in my government, if we are re-elected, that does not respect the confidentiality of Cabinet, then they will no longer be a Cabinet Minister.
The source of this week's leaks against Julia Gillard is known to only 2 reporters.
You've said that Kevin Rudd isn't responsible for the leaks.
No, what I said is that Kevin Rudd is an honourable man.
I've always found him to be an honourable man.
Kevin Rudd is an honourable person. He's working hard now for his local community.
Today, one of the factional chiefs who helped roll him was by the Prime Minister's side.
I support her position completely about a role for the former Prime Minister.
But Bill Shorten maintains that his eyes are firmly focused elsewhere.
Whilst there's many issues being debated in this national election, I can see a few which are any more important than disability.
The government's pledged $60 million to boost supported accommodation.
Hello. Pleased to meet you. I am. P.M.
And up to $12,000 for early intervention treatment for children with disabilities.
If they're diagnosed early, if it's known that they've got a hearing impairment early, then they can access some of the technology that can make a difference.
Tony!
But not everyone's taking the campaign seriously.
Tony, we've got your policy briefs here, Dion.
John Howard's Ladies Auxiliary have embraced generational change.
No, I'm being roughed up.
Tony's forgotten his policy briefs, dear. And he's lost his budgie.
He's lost his budgie. And he can't do without his budgie. A man can't do without his budgie, can he?
Stunts aside, when it comes to the substance, today was another low-key chapter in a low-key campaign. Promises from both sides to restrain spending have reined in extravagant pledges. Today's combined announcements add up to just $300 million. Dana Robertson, Lateline.